Hi, I'm Missy with Don Williams Treat, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. This month, we are back with month 6 of our quilt along. And just remember that you can find all of the instructions that we're going over today in the blog post as well. So you can find the link in the description of the video. So go ahead and check that out. It's going to have all of the cutting instructions, diagrams. So if you're more of that type of a visual person, you can check those out there. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our shop and find your next quilting project. Okay, so just a couple of tips that are going to be helpful as you're working on all of these blocks throughout the year. We want to make sure that we go over those so that you just have a reminder. So one thing, starching your fabric before you cut everything out is going to make sure that everything is just nice and crisp. So that is one thing that we do recommend is go ahead and starch your fabric. You do want to starch it before you cut your squares though, because starching it can change the size of your blocks. You want to make sure you starch it first. The other tip is go ahead and use a scant 1/4 inch seam. This allows you to have a slightly bigger block and do any trimming if you need to. So just double check that scant 1/4 inch. If you're also just kind of double checking, making sure that your 1/4 inch really is a true 1/4 inch so that when you're scant, it is a true scant. So just double check that. We do have a video on our channel that talks about checking your machine and making sure that your 1/4 inch seam is a true 1/4 inch seam. So go ahead and check that out. The other item is when you're trimming off your dog ears. So this is going to be on half square triangles, on flying geese, things like that. Make sure that you're only trimming those dog ears and you're not getting into the block itself. Because if you get into the block itself, it's going to make that block smaller and then things aren't going to line up the way they need to. So for block 6, what we're going to need from our colored pieces is we're going to need 2 at 4 inches. So this is because it's a 9.5 inch strip. We can go ahead and just cut our 4 inches and then cut that down into 2. So set that aside. And then we're also going to need 1 at 2.5 inches. So this block does give us a little more of that extra that we're going to just stick aside in case we have any mistakes that we need to correct later on. And then with our white pieces, we again have the same amount. So we have 2 of our 4-inch blocks. And then we have more of our smaller blocks. We have 4 at the 2.5 inch blocks. And these are going to be 1/4 square triangles. So we're going to set our smaller blocks aside. Okay, for sewing our block together, we're going to start off with making 2 half square triangles. So we've got our white on top of our color. We're going to take our ruler and we're going to draw a line from corner to corner. We're just going to use our fabric marking pen for that. This one is just a heat erase. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line. Okay, now that we've got our line sewn, we're going to go ahead and just cut right there on the line that we drew. And then when we iron these, we're going to want to iron towards the color so that we don't have any shadowing showing up in the white. And now that we've got our squares, we're going to lay them on top of each other. And we're going to want to do the white on top of the color and then the color on top of the white. So you're going to nest those seams right next to each other as you're laying them there. And then we're going to draw a line from corner to corner. And then sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line. Okay, and then we're going to, again, just trim this right there on the line that we drew. So I'm going to line my ruler up from corner to corner. And make sure it goes through all the layers of fabric. And then go ahead and press those. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other 2 half square triangles. And now that we've got all of our 1/4 square triangle blocks completed, we want to go ahead and trim those to 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the 45 degree angle right there on that line so that we make sure that we keep our points at the end. But then also I'm going to go ahead and take this 1.5 inch line, 1.25 inch line, and put that right there in the center. And that's going to make sure that we keep our nice center in this block when we're going to keep all of our points afterwards. So trim that side. And then we're just going to do the same thing. Our 45-degree angle and making sure that our 1.25. And that's going to see we're going to keep our really nice points right there on each of the corners as we do this. And then go ahead and repeat that with all 4 of your blocks. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew our block together. So we're going to start with our colored square right there in the center. And then all of our half square triangles around our quarter square triangles around the outsides. And we want to make sure that's lined up so that the white is meeting up with that center square on all 4 sides. And that's going to give us our nice star looking block. And then we've got the 4 white squares in each of the corners. And we'll go ahead and sew those rows together. Okay, now that your first block is complete, go ahead and repeat that with the other remaining 9 colors so that you have a total of 10 different colors in this block. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out. You can reach out in the comments in the video, in the blog post, or else send us an email. We can help respond and help answer any questions that you might have. And go ahead and make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our newsletter so that you don't miss out on all of the new projects and things that we're working on throughout this year. And happy quilting!